Broncos country, what is poppin', man? Hope you guys are having a wonderful victory Monday after that huge win against the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to be breaking down that game in detail tonight at Horsepower Hour, 8 p.m. Mountain. Make sure you tune into that. But with the NFL trade deadline just a week away, it's crazy how fast it all snuck up on me. The Broncos are rumored right now to be buyers and, in some cases, aggressive buyers of some really good players available throughout the course of the league. So we're going to get into that. And we're going to talk about what the rumors are saying, who they're coming from, is there any merit to them, and then ultimately what I want to see the Broncos do. And I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments as well. But let's get right into it and start off with this report from ESPN. It's through the Sporting News, but ESPN, Adam Schefter, obviously one of the most reputable sources, about as reputable as they can get, said this, that the three teams that appear to most aggressively be pursuing a wide receiver before the deadline are the Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, and the Denver Broncos. This was a really big surprise for me, especially considering the wide receiver position, because, for me, when I look at it, I think we have a really good wide receiver room, especially compared to like the Steelers and the Bills, right? I like our depth. I like the versatility that we got. I think we have got a lot of guys that can play, especially with the development of Troy Franklin. Obviously, he showed, just a slight little hint about the potential that he's got in the win versus the Cowboys. And same with Pat Bryant. I love the draft pick, and I think he's going to develop really well. So why would they bring in a wide receiver? I don't really know, especially because you're not going to usually get the opportunity to draft like a pure wide receiver one, right? But there is one guy that was brought up from the New Orleans Saints. They are expected to make Rasheed Shaheed and Brandin Cooks available, right? Don't really care at all about Brandin Cooks. You can just eliminate that from. I have no desire for him, but Rasheed Shaheed is definitely a player that I can find to be a very attractive player for this team. He's explosive. He's a big play merchant. He's really, really good. Now, they say that they're looking for a third-round pick for that. I'm all good with that. I'm all good. Maybe if you guys want your Devon Vele pick back, I'll be willing to listen to that. But even then, I don't know. I don't know if I would really care that much about it because, again, he's kind of is he ever going to be wide receiver one? No. Is he ever going to be one of the best receivers in the league? No. He's a really good piece, but I don't think it's a really big puzzle piece that this Broncos team needs. So I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be completely honest with you. Now, there was a report that came out today from Diana Rossini with The Athletic, and Diana Rossini's awesome. And she has said something that I thought was very, very interesting. And that is exactly this. Let me pull this up real quick for you. The Broncos are monitoring the tight end market. Simple as that. That is a tweet from Ryan Edwards. He talked about from Diana Rossini with The Athletic. The Broncos are monitoring the tight end market. This is something that, in my opinion, makes a ton of sense. Because, with the injury to Nate Atkins creeping up this last Sunday, obviously we don't know if it's serious. There's a possibility he misses time. There's a possibility that he doesn't miss any time. But it's a stark reminder of just how thin we are at the tight end room. Especially with, Lucas Kroll. I know he's not going to move mountains at all anyways, but Lucas Kroll looks like he's going to go on IR for the rest of the season. Now he's having surgery on the injury that he had. And the Broncos were just down to Evan Ingram and Adam Troutman, and that's it. And not really anybody else on the roster that's going to be exciting, and even on the practice squad, right? Besides Caleb Lohner, who was a former basketball player. He's still a very raw prospect. So, yes, the Broncos, even before the Nate Atkins injury, had needed to address this room, period. But now, like I said, hopefully the Nate Atkins injury is not anything serious, but even just the fact that injury creeped up, it's a glaring hole. If something happens to Evan Ingram or Adam Troutman, you really are screwed, and it's going to completely change the dynamics of your offense entirely. And I think Nate Atkins is among the most important players for this team because he's very good at blocking. He can give you a lot of different looks and be very effective in the run game, but he's also kind of a low-key, like, sneaky good receiver when he's called upon to be a receiver. So, yes, I would like to see more. I hope that Nate Atkins is good, but I would like to see more help in the tight end room because I think we absolutely need it. Now, who are some guys that really pop up, right? That are realistic. I had put something on my Twitter earlier. Let me go ahead and actually pull that up because I think that it'll be a helpful case. We can go through them one on one. But let me. I tweeted a lot today. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up here. Sorry, guys. Appreciate you bearing with me. All right, we're cooking now. So here's what I had put. I said 5 realistic tight end targets for the Broncos in no particular order here. Now, Mark Andrews and David Njoku, right? These are two guys that they haven't really been, there's been like small whispers here and there that they might become available, but I don't know if there's anything legitimate behind it. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if the Broncos are looking at adding a tight end of that caliber, like in those tiers. I think that it's going to be more of like a back end of the roster guy that's experienced in terms of blocking and can kind of give you a little bit of versatility, but not like a full-fledged top-tier guy. Reasons for these is obviously they're going to be more expensive. And is it going to be a 1-year rental, or are you going to look at keeping these guys for a couple more years after the season? And also, you're going to have to give up a lot more draft capital to get guys like Mark Andrews and David Njoku. But I would certainly be interested in making the call, seeing what that looks like, because I think both of those guys can be phenomenal additions to this team. It's just kind of what the name of the game is. I mean, if you can get yourself a really good tight end, you always pounce on that opportunity because it's rare that they become available. And that's another piece that goes into this, right? Is like there might be rumors, there might be phone calls being made, but ultimately teams don't usually trade solid tight ends or good tight ends or very beneficial pieces to their roster that play the tight end position for a lot of different reasons. It just doesn't happen very often. So we will ultimately see. But Mark Andrews and David Njoku would probably be two guys that I would prefer the most, but I don't think it's very possible. Now, you get into Chigo Okonkwo, right? Or Chigoziem Okonkwo. What are the coolest names in the NFL? But anyways, Chigo Okonkwo is someone that I've always kind of liked. I've always felt like he was a really underrated tight end, kind of an athletic freak, someone that can really stretch the field and help you receiving the ball. Now, I was talking to my buddy Andy in the Discord, Andy NFL, and he had said Chig doesn't really seem to fit. He's more of he's kind of a traditional F tight end. He doesn't give you much at all in terms of blocking. He's kind of similar in terms of Evan Ingram. And I can respect that. Like, I think the PFF numbers even back that up. And I think that would make sense, which is why it would be a little bit of a less chance that we bring somebody like him in. But nonetheless, he's very talented. I really like what he can bring from even just being a receiver, a weapon for Bo Nix. Should something happen to Evan Ingram, should you want to be able to go in the next offseason and maybe you're not fascinated by the tight ends in the draft, or you don't feel like you're going to be able to get the guy that you want, and the free agency market is a little bit low, you don't got to worry about it. You got your own guy internally that you can negotiate with and keep them. And then you go into next season with Chigo Okonkwo and Evan Ingram. You could fill in the specialty roles in other ways. It's a lot easier to fill in the specialty roles versus the guys that can actually go out there and be studs catching the football. So Chigo Okonkwo is definitely somebody to be looking at. And as we know with the Titans, their season is gone. I mean, they've been selling like crazy, trading guys. They already traded a corner earlier in the year. They traded another corner today to the Rams. So they are having a fire sale. I would reach out to them, throw a late round pick, and see if you can get Chigo Okonkwo. What's really interesting about Chigo Okonkwo as well is that he's young. He's still a young player. And, you know, he's only 26 years old, just turned 26 years old. He's a former 4th-round pick out of Maryland. And, again, he's never really had the best offensive situation in his career. But even in in his first 3 years, not including this year, he's had 450 yards, 528 yards, and 479 yards. So he's been very solid. And played, in all 17 games, hasn't missed a game in his time yet. So he's got a lot of really promising things. And if he's putting up numbers like that, I think he could easily at least replicate those in an offense that is a lot better than what he's had in Tennessee, which isn't really saying much. But I am a big fan of Chigo Okonkwo, no doubt about that. Number 4 is really interesting because he's enticing, man. Say what you guys want about Taysom Hill, right? And I know, like, even I kind of fit into the camp of I'm sick of bringing former Saints. I feel like I kind of want Sean Payton to move on from his past and stop talking so much about his past with the Saints, even though it's important that, it is what it is. I mean, there's the history there. But Taysom Hill actually makes a whole lot of sense for this team. He really does, because he does a lot of things that Sean Payton's looking for, and he's a perfect, like, back end of the roster guy. Like, he doesn't have to be your main pass catching tight end, but in situations where he has to be, he's capable of doing it. He can block. He can run the ball out of wildcat. He can throw the ball. I've made this argument in the past. People might think I'm crazy, but you can make the argument that Taysom Hill could be a Hall of Famer because of how unique his career has been and the things that he's done, like the games that he's had at quarterback, winning games as quarterback, right? Rushing the football, catching it. Like, do I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame? No, but if you wanted to have an argument about it, you'd actually be surprised how easily you can make it. But yes, he's at the tail end of his career. His contract number is pretty crazy, but we're not going to have to worry about that too much because you're only getting him for half of the season. But he's familiar with Sean. Sean knows exactly what he's going to get in him, and he can absolutely kind of help in spot duty wherever you need him to. He can be your punt and kick returner if you need him to. He can help you in the special teams kick coverage. He can help you a fullback. He can help you a tight end. He can be a reserve quarterback. He can help you as a receiver, as a tight end, as a blocker, as everything. He's actually, like, his career is fascinating, man. Taysom Hill does not get the love that he deserves, but he's somebody that, man, I think could be really intriguing, and the Saints probably would not ask too much to get rid of him anyways. So would love that. And then another guy that I put on this list is Jeremy Ruckert, because Jeremy Ruckert is someone that, he's like, again, back end of the roster guy, right? He's somebody that doesn't really get a whole lot of production in terms of catching the football, but what does he do? He does all the dirty work, kind of like Nat Atkins. He's a very good blocker. He's a big-bodied guy, 6'5.5", 252. He's still young, only 25 years old. Former third-round pick, actually, coming out of Ohio State. So he's got some, production. I mean, he has 36 catches, 269 yards, and a touchdown in his career. But again, this guy's mainly a blocker, and he plays for the New York Jets. And the New York Jets are a team that could have a fire sale. We're familiar with, there's some history with Muji and obviously George Payton, so we could easily make that happen. And, they drafted Mason Taylor. They've got some other guys on that roster. So Jeremy Ruckert could certainly be someone that they could get rid of. And he's entering the final year of his rookie deal. So there's some of that that you should be taken into account as well. So that's kind of the type of player I think the Broncos are most likely going to be going after, is somebody like a Jeremy Ruckert, right? Where just really good blocker, somebody that does the dirty work, is going to be really cheap, and that they can kind of fit into the scheme of what it is they want. But if you need some receiving upside, they can give you that. So don't be surprised if it's more of a player like that. But I did put some other honorable mentions. I mentioned Chris Manhertz. Obviously, he's been here. Again, he played for the Giants. They could be a team that's looking at having a fire sale. And, just because he's familiar with him, because his ability to block, he's someone that would make sense. James Mitchell, another guy that I think could make a whole lot of sense. Very similar to Jeremy Ruckert, right? In terms of he's this guy that is more of a blocker. He's not gonna blow the top off when it comes to his production as a pass catcher, but he can be very valuable. Still young at 26 years old. He plays for Carolina, and Carolina is looking at having a fire sale potentially. We don't know that, but they could be a team. And then there's been some rumors about TJ Hawkinson. I didn't even want to go there too much. That would be a pipe dream. That would be the best option of anyone that we mentioned. I just don't realistically see it happening for a lot of reasons. I don't know if the Vikings really want to get rid of him. I don't think the Broncos would want to give up the type of compensation it would take for TJ Hawkinson. And then also, I don't think they want to take along that sort of a contract. But TJ Hawkinson is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He would be phenomenal. He would be phenomenal here. And then another guy that I mentioned, still very low chance that he gets traded to Denver, is Michael Mayer. And that's because he obviously plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. You rarely see those intra-divisional trades. So, but he's someone that's been rumored and been wanting to get out of there for a while. So he would be a really good addition for this Broncos team as well. I know there's a lot more out there. I'd love to know what you guys think below in the comments. So let me know, who do you want to see the Broncos trade for? What position and why? Let me know below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And again, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Catch us tonight on Horsepower Hour. See y'all there. Peace.